or not. That's called self-selecting. Those are typically not very well thought of polls. So you want to have a large group with rigorous methodology that makes sure that you have a representative sample of the people who are going to vote in this country. Also, we want to have a sample of what we call likely voters. That is very different than registered voters. A lot of people are registered to vote, but they're not likely to vote. So now as you get down to the narrow end here, we're down to the less than 3 weeks, you're going to see all the polls switching over to what are called likely voters. And those are people who tell the pollster, yeah, I'm excited about this election, I'm paying attention to it, and I absolutely plan to vote. They also have to be registered. That's the other thing. A lot of people are absolutely intent on voting and they're not registered. So you have to weed those out. So there are a lot of different things. But polling methodology has really gone through an explosive growth in the last 20 or 30 years. And it's much, much better than it ever has been. But let me throw a big caveat out. One of the pollsters that one of the analysts that I pay a lot of attention to wrote this the other day, that he was looking at the polls and he was terrified by them. And what he meant by that was this. In many of the national polls all across the country of likely voters, Mr. Romney is ahead by a couple of percentage points. When you get down into the state polls, individual states, they tend to show Mr. Obama's ahead. That shouldn't be. There should be some high degree of correlation, and there is not at this point in time. What does that mean? Nobody knows. Except it is causing a lot of people in the polling industry to look at this and go, we haven't seen this before. This is an area of concern for us, and we've got to figure out why it's happening. There may be a surprise on election night. The polls may get fooled. And the place where the polls get fooled is within that margin of error. All these polls have margins of error of, a great poll with a huge sample might have a margin of error of 2%. Other polls more typically 3%, even 4%, depending on the methodology. Well, this race is within that margin of error. So we may get fooled. We have to be very careful about how much stock we put in the polls. The one thing the polls tell us that we know is true is that it's really close.
Good morning, Scott.
Good morning.
My name is John. I work at CBS.
Hey, John.
I recently finished the book, No Easy Day.
Yes,
and
yes.
Last night I watched your interview again on my iPad. I just wanted to ask
This is the, in case anybody isn't aware, John, if you let me interrupt, this is the Navy